And here we are. Good evening, good evening, good evening. I hope you hear me well. Apologies, I have a couple of minutes delayed. I was delayed for a couple of minutes, but now I am here and I am so happy of being here because this is just a live stream for the community, the live stream before Christmas, and this is a free format. I haven't prepared anything. It's just a chat. So give question, give consideration, and we are going to discuss. So let's see who we have. We have 15 people in the chat now. We have Carl Davis and Antonio Luperini. They're both members of the channel. So thank you for being here. And Canon Fodder 43, another usual presence. Thank you for being here. Hi Daniel. Hi Brian Lynch. Hi Magoid. Is the image stretched or you gained a few pounds? No, it's this thing. No, my weight is the usual one. It is the same as always. That is, which means excessive. But no, I didn't gain weight. It is this camera. I'm not using the normal camera. I'm using the MacBook webcam, and yeah, this lens is definitely not good for this. But anyway, I hope you will enjoy the stream anyway. So. Hi from Portugal, Tony. Hi from Portugal, and thanks for the content. Thank you to you. Stretch, most probably, yes. I hope it's Shane Patrick. I hope it's stretch. Yes, it's probably stretched. Yes, I'm looking the local feed, and it is fine. So it is probably something related to the stream. Yes, I told you, my weight is the same. It is excessive. But it is still the same. Is the MiG-35, well, first question, okay, from Brian Lynch. Is the MiG-35 worth, in your opinion, why upgrade the aircraft after MiG was folded into Sukhoi? So they are probably going to become Sukhoi. In terms of aircraft, yes, is slightly different than the flanker, is slightly lighter, but it has the potential of becoming an excellent aircraft for its generation, medium light aircraft. I don't know if if the Russian Rostec will keep pushing it, because yeah, definitely they have other stuff in the pipeline. Lohan, hello. Oh, the Mirage 3, a fantastic plane. I suppose you refer to the thumbnail that I've chosen. Yeah, that was just the first nice picture that came to my mind. That was, let's say, usable in the live stream. So yeah, but I think so. I really love the Deltas. Love the great plane. Something that I never told you. So Dassault has a very interesting service. Aimed mainly for the press, but also for the researchers, where you can basically log on, and if you demonstrate that you are a YouTuber or someone like me anyway, so they give you some material available, and a lot of the material that I use in the Rafale series comes from Dassault directly. And basically, if you email them, they also answer. And one thing that I wanted to do was a history of the Mirage from the beginning to the present day. But apparently, when it comes to video, they're not really available. So they basically said no, and that's a pity, because I wanted to do something related to the history of the Mirage. And yeah, at some point I will probably do is just going to be more complex from the point of view of the iconographic material. Shane Patrick, this channel has had great content lately. Your confusion in blocks and revisions is felt by us US folks as well. Yeah, it's a bit complicated. Another one says, good evening. Carl Davis, wonder if Checkmate will end up killing the MiG-35. Possible. Definitely possible. It's mostly marketing strategic considerations, we'll see. Antonio Luperini, do you think that defense market of Africa will be dominated by Russian and Chinese products except South Africa? There is a good possibility, even though I think that emerging African air forces will probably go unmanned first. So they will get equipped with the drones first before then piloted aircraft. And then, if they can, they will graduate to piloted aircraft. Canada will have to select a fighter jet this year. Competitions between Gripen and F-35. Between the two, which one will be the better according to you? So yesterday night, I was on the live stream of the Military Aviation History channel with Chris, and Chris said, well, it will be the F-35. Because it's pretty much at this stage the only game in town, because the Gripen doesn't match all the specification, even though it is a really interesting economic proposition. It can be, it's debatable if it's going to be cheaper, but from the point of view of the Canadian economy, the Gripen is a better proposition than the F-35. But at this stage, for political pressure and for this, for performance consideration, is probably going to be the F-35. Why the wedge intake of the A5 Vigilante was so copied by subsequent aircraft like the Concorde, MiG-25, 14, 15, as compared to other options. So again, let's understand, let's consider understand correctly what we mean for copied, okay? In the sense that there are many aeronautical institutions around the world, and in the advanced one, they're not that few. There's a lot. There's a lot in the United States, but there are also a lot in other countries. They constantly do studies, and one of the things that emerged for in that stage during those years as optimal for an aircraft that was supposed to fly supersonic and say have various flight conditions, it had to work in various flight conditions, was actually that kind of wedge air intake. So it was not copied from the Vigilante. It's not that people said the first prototype of the Vigilante and they said, oh yes, that's genius, let's do the same. It doesn't work like this. At the same time, a similar time, they all get into around the same ideas. They get to understand that that shape of the air intake was probably the one with the best performance for that situations. By the way, today was released footage of the S-70 dropping Fab 250. I didn't see it, I'm afraid. So if you just leave a link somewhere on Discord, or rather on one of the comments in the channel, because here in the chat is a problem posting links, or just in the comments below the live stream, they will be fine. A successful test was published recently. Another one successful. Sorry, I sometimes don't say the name, and I am afraid that people was using Kirillitsa. I can't really pronounce them. I'm sorry. So, but anyway, let's keep going. Another one. A successful test was publicized recently showing the Okhotnik drone doing some bombing. How good do you think the drone will be in that role? That's the same thing as above, I suppose. Uh, yeah, that's one of the it is one of the reasonable use of a drone like that one. And as far as I know, it is remotely piloted with limited autonomy, which I think it is what we are going to see for quite a long time. In the sense that full artificial intelligence in drones is still quite far away. Before trusting it, it will take quite a long time. In your opinion, will next generation of 385X01Y, in your opinion, how will next generation of airplanes change air anti-surface warfare, fighter jets versus ships? The big thing against ships as it is today is hypersonic. Yes, because while stealth is definitely useful, creates problems, and it takes quite a lot of work for managing it. Hypersonic, just by the laws of physics, makes everything horribly complicated. Just to give you an example, an exploding warhead against an hypersonic missile is relatively useless because the missile is so fast that it's going to probably pass behind the blast before the blast is going to reach it. So you need to go for the impact to be really effective. It's much more difficult having the correct geometry. For having the correct geometry for an hypersonic weapon. So I think that is the problem. So aircraft launching hypersonic weapons will be a big menace for the ships. It's not a case that periodically comes out the idea of actually returning to some passive armor, to some passive defense, of hardening the ships just to being capable of actually absorbing rather than shutting down menaces. What is your view on dual mode air-to-air missiles? So missiles with two seekers and infrared and radar. That's about 10-2, in the sense that there are, let's say, it has always been possible in principle. The point is how big and how practical and how reliable you can make a weapon. The Russians pretty much institutionalized this many years ago. In a sense, you see the flankers or the fulcrums, for what matters, carrying a lot of weapons, more than for the Western aircraft. But the Russian doctrine, at least up to recently, then maybe changes that they is to use different weapons. Is to use missiles that are kinematically the same, so the body of the missile is pretty much the same, but the guidance system is different. So pretty much, if you what you need to do to avoid one puts you in harm's way for another system, which is, I think, a relatively clever idea. Luckily we've never saw how it is working. It has the drawback of actually reducing your inventory quite quickly. Why do you think Finland chose F-35 over Gripen? Political pressure. No, I mean, yeah, it could also be money, because at this stage, considering the F-35 is built in such a large scale, is not as expensive as it used to be. It's still very expensive in maintenance. It still has the drawbacks that I keep discussing in the videos, in the sense that you're not really sure to have a full control, full authority on that aircraft once you buy it. But yeah, in terms of capabilities, of sheer capabilities, it is, yeah, it it is better than the Gripen. Probably not as better as the Americans say, but yeah, but it's better. So probably that's the reason. Another one regarding Africa. Ethiopia has been using TB2 drones in their civil war to some limited success. Supposedly, Turkish operators are on site and operating the drones. But then, yes, I've heard something about this story. Yeah, as I'm saying, the drones are much cheaper and provide an interesting level of effectiveness we have seen in the conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan. So yes, that's the thing. M-Sky, your impression on Su-75 and S-70? Greetings from Serbia. I mean, the S-70 is an interesting concept, very Russian style, as I said. It's a real unmanned aircraft that could be used, and probably the way it is designed is also designed with much more focus on stealth. So this makes me think that the Russians think that high level, very low observability is important only when you have to sneak into some defense and, for example, attack ground target or do anything like that, which sounds reasonable for me. And but in so yeah, no, it's definitely something which is it's part of that asymmetry that the Russians are pursuing to be to be capable of standing up the Western approach to warfare, to air warfare. About the Su-75, I think is a good idea. I mean, the Sukhoi needed something like that. A lightweight Su-57. Because that's a good idea. That's a good idea if they manage to pull it out and have a reasonably good launch customer. It could be important. Uncle Heavy, good evening, folks. Cannon Fodder 43. The second Sukhoi S-70 drone was revealed with a new flat nozzle as predicted in the mock-up. Why is Western media often so wrong when predicting and discussing about Russian aerospace topics? Bias. I mean, the mainstream media are definitely biased. They are not neutral. They're not neutral analysts. There are neutral analysts. There many of the sources that I keep an eye on tend to be quite neutral, and they tend to dismiss Russia and China way less than the official sources. Chris 6770, is there any hope the cost involved in new aircraft development will be reined in, or will they continue to grow? Any prospect of private startups disrupting industry like SpaceX with rockets? Private startups, I would say no, but yes, the design is going to change. So there are. This is something that I'm going to cover in probably in a video, probably more than a video, in the sense that to produce the sixth generation aircraft, either British Aerospace and Lockheed Martin, yeah, that's too quick. The chat is too quick. I was saying either British Aerospace or Lockheed Martin have designed an adaptive factory that could simplify this project, and then they, if it is possible that the Americans are taking the approach of doing some sort of agile development, so some level of incremental development of what they have, so between a generation and the other, the time is shortened. Will Roper, now, who is I think is the United States, the exact title I think is the Secretary of the Air Force for acquisitions or something like that, said he would like to see a new version or a new major version or a new aircraft every 5 years, but with an incremental build, with never a revolutionary build. It's probably doable. is always going to be extremely expensive. Okay. Gokai Haidar Baikus. Hi, how are you? How is your life? We miss you. No, I'm perfectly fine. Thank you very much. And certainly don't make me become emotional saying that you miss me. Mm, three on the three nice Australian mirages on the thumbnail. Yes, we spoke about it. Thank you. Uncle Heavy to protect ships against hypersonic missiles. Maybe the Philadelphia experiment should be reinvestigated. Lol. Okay, for those who don't know what it is something that allegedly happened during the Second World War, while the U.S. Navy tried to make a ship invisible. And yeah, there's all sort of conspiracy theories around that. Don't think. Okay, but that's good. This is a nice point, a fine point. Brian Lynch, why are military powers still investing in attack helicopters when drones seem to fill the same role? At my assumption, a cheaper price, they're not filling the same drone, the same capability, the same. They're not filling the same slot. First, because helicopters do transport. B, helicopters, and that is not replaceable. B, helicopters do. So you can build a drone helicopter, but helicopters and fixed wing have different flight profiles, and helicopters are definitely more adaptable when it comes to surface fighting. Then there is always the usual problem. You can lose contact with the drone if you have a man, and the platform is going to act much more cleverly than any drone in the world, at least with the current level of technology. John Keresna, I just sent you a bit of money through PayPal to thank you for your interesting and enjoyable channel. So, what can I say? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Your support is, yeah, it's again, I can become emotional, but thank you. Thank you very much. Mener Spaghetti. I love your content. Keep it up in these dark days. Yes, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay here as long as I possibly can. Wagdi Kotab Baba, your thoughts on United Arab Emirates buying 80 Rafale F4? Yeah, that's an excellent aircraft. And the Gulf states are doing an excellent job in diversifying their sources for military systems, which, as you know, I think that variety is one of the keys of resilience. I mean, those are countries where they're still developing countries where there's no, from the point of view of the aeronautic technology, the aeronautical industry are still developing countries where it would be very difficult to build something in-house. So definitely, but since they tend to have a relatively rich economy that can sustain this kind of purchases, yeah, from their point of view, they're doing correctly. Shrooms need. How do you think that falling space launch costs will affect the future of our combat? Many nations will have the capability to launch massive satellite constellations, and many countries will have the capability of shooting them down. In the sense that protecting satellites, again, current level of technology is very difficult. You don't have a lot of places where you can hide them. You can make them stealth. There have been studies about them, so they don't reflect radar. You can make them dark, so they don't reflect light, but they always be hot against something very cold. So the infrared signature is serious. So I think it's a new battlefield. Luckily, a battlefield with no people involved. This is good. but it's a new battlefield, and it will be where it's going to be very difficult to get the supremacy. It's probably going to be an area, quite weirdly, where quantity will still be important. Shroomsnet, example of full coverage synthetic aperture radar constellation. Yes, sorry, that's the question before. No, that's one of the things that I've been studying, and it is important. Yes, it's doable. Mr. Cade, but yeah, it's doable but vulnerable. So yes, it's a further it's a further piece of the equation, a further term of the equation, an additional term of the equation. But Mr. K. Delkington also saw one comment in one of video where they asked for analysis of MB339, which by the way saw combat in Eritrea versus Ethiopia in 1998, an underrated plane, which I sort of agree. It was probably the last fully Italian aircraft design. Maybe someday. I mean, it's not. It's definitely a niche subject. So many European countries are now adopting the F-35. Will this represent an asset during a conflict like what is often depicted by the US? Well, if you think to fight as a coalition using the aircraft in the way they plan to use it as a part, completely integrated and part of basically the United States Air Force or the NATO Air Forces, yes, has a lot of sense. I mean, it's the usual thing. You don't have full control of that aircraft. The day you want to use it for something that the Americans don't approve, I don't know what's going to happen. AdFab, when will drones become survivable or even superior to fighters, and will that make war more likely? There's still quite a long way to go because, as I said, artificial intelligence is becoming increasingly intelligent, but there's still no way comparable to humans. So yes, drones have increased capability, have their position, have their role, have their niche, but there's still a long way. When, I don't know. Will that make war more likely? Well, war is likely when there are clashes of interests, and there's no possibility of finding a compromise. That's what normally happens. So probably not related to the drones. Sky, do you think Russian is ahead with hypersonic weapon, Avangard, Kinzhal, Zircon? Yes, definitely. Definitely, they started early, and definitely definitely they are ahead now. Obviously, the Americans are chasing, so nothing is stable. No, and that's the nature of the military confrontation. That's the nature of the military confrontation. No, you keep in every victory there are the seeds of defeat, and in every defeat there are the seeds of victory. So nothing is permanent. Sorry, I can't read your name because it's in Kirillitsa. What do you think of Eurodrone? It's something that I didn't follow closely, so I can't really tell you. NLX Ozian ARRT. Can you cover Turkish stuff sometimes, please? They seem to be pushing a new product into market each month. Yes, particularly into the drones segment. Yes, it's something that should be covered. Something that should be covered. A bit of personal question, but are you going to use the black suit in future videos? The black suit? Yes, some time ago I used to wear a black jacket for the videos. Well, if you like it, guys, I can wear a suit for the videos. That's not a problem. It's not a problem. Actually, it's a good idea. I should reassess this. Serious shooter. Is it possible for a drone to communicate with a submerged sub, for example, target designation? If so, which kind of wave? This beyond below the surface, just below a couple of meters, you need a very long way VLF and ELF, so stuff that requires very long antennas. So it's from that point of view is a bit unlikely. It is always possible that the sub is at low depth and pushes out a mast with an antenna close the surface or just above the surface. It's more, but that obviously makes the sub more easy to spot. So it is more a tactical problem, probably. But yeah, I think there's definitely someone who's been studying this. Hey, I heard Ishan Sharwat. Hey, I heard about the India-Pakistan thing. Any chance you can make videos about it? Just turn off the comment section because your videos are unbiased. Other videos on this topic are not good. So thank you very much. So at least for the moment, I'm afraid not. If I turn the comment off, is something which is sort of a no-no for the YouTube algorithm. So there's a good possibility that I make a video, turn the comment off, and you don't even know that it appears, or maybe you realize that it appeared 2 weeks later, no? Something like that, when maybe you are on the homepage of the channel. So it's not really, turning the comments off is not really an option, but still the level of I'm looking for a word. I say the level of contrast that is shown in the situation is definitely too much. I am for freedom of speech, in the sense that I'm perfectly happy that people keep insulting each other and calling them names, or even the worst ones. I personally have very little problem, or better, I would prefer that people don't insult each other, but I'm not against, let's say, this kind of very hard confrontation, but YouTube is, and so it's going to be penalizing. So for the moment, sorry guys, India and Pakistan are off limits for a while. Uncle Heavy, how much is satellite-borne radars a real thing? How effective are they at spotting aircraft? So they are a very real thing. They have been for a very long time. I mean, the Soviet Rorsats for marine reconnaissance, they existed since the 70s. So it's very possible. I have no news. I've seen nothing about actually identifying aircraft from space. I know where you're going to. You're saying, since stealth aircraft are probably way less stealthy from above, then having a radar in space would make sense. I don't know. Probably it doesn't seem to be a totally unfeasible concept, but I don't know exactly. I have no specific news. So Herr Figbaum. There are active radar seekers on hypersonic and atmospheric SAMs, like Arrow 2 or S300VM. How is this possible at those speeds and temperature? You can have a radome, which is made of material that is not ferromagnetic, so is dielectric, but still very resistant to temperature. For example, quartz. It's one of the materials that is used for the radomes. So it is possible. When plasma starts forming, then obviously these are so they're very quick, very fast. If plasma start forming, they are degraded, but at the speed of modern hypersonics, I mean below Mach 10, so say between Mach 5 and Mach 10, the problem is not terrible. I mean, radars and let's say electromagnetic sensors keep are degraded, but keep working, and even the stealth effect produced by the plasma can be useful, but is not decisive. Run DMC 555. What determines whether the USA conceals a fighter bomber as a black project, example like the B-2 was? Would you think such surprises offer huge tactical advantages in war? Don't know exactly. I mean, there is an interesting video made by Cover Cabal that says, do secret weapons really make sense? And the point was, if a weapon is secret, then you have no deterrence, which is a fundamental function of a weapon. And but the very fact that someone suspect that you have such a secret, an incredibly effective weapon is a form of deterrence in its own. So again, I think it's more a political and strategic calculus than anything else. Antonio Luperini, or why something you can see moisture on the wing without any visible vortex? No, I don't. No, well, depends on that's difficult to say in the sense that depends of the field of pressure that you have above the wing and at the wingtip. So yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult to say before without seeing, for example, a wind tunnel test or a simulation. Trade 5X01Y. How realistic do you think is the realization of Thai TFX program? Kai, I think it is, taking in account complexity and ambition of the program, but also Turkish. No, you mean the Turkish one? Okay, but also Turkish economic woes, for example, the valuation of Turkish lira. So Turkey made a lot of progresses building an aircraft that has a basic form of stealth. At the end of the day, today is not that difficult in the sense it's mostly a problem of shape and say construction, surface construction. So it's not entirely out of this world. The problem is if Turkey will be in the position of building fifth generation, a fully fifth generation, I mean, with all the other systems typically associated with a fifth generation aircraft, including the engine, with current situation of the economy. I mean, the value of the currency is not a problem from this point of view, or better, it's not a problem if you do everything domestically or almost everything domestically. But if you have to buy very large components abroad, then having a devalued currency is a problem. So that's probably the hurdle. Wagdi Kotab Baba, what solution you would imagine for the twister pesco? Sorry, don't understand the question. Stephen Quick, any updates on X47C? Didn't hear anything recently. Uncle Heavy, not a black jacket, a smoking jacket and a pipe. You truly are the YouTube professor of aviation. Okay, thank you for the marketing and look suggestion. I will consider that. Well, thank you very much. Way too good. Uh, Amjad Khan, what do you think about the Iranian stealth aircraft? Okay, the same as I'm thinking about Turkey, in the sense that Iran is a developing country that is in a good position, has some interesting industrial capabilities. The fact that they are in the position of actually building a fifth generation aircraft, real fifth generation aircraft, not just one aircraft that has some stealth. That remains to be seen. That remains to be seen. AdFab, given various limits get achieved and then remain become the norm, like most top speeds and so on, what are the areas for major improvement? Range, you mean in dynamically in the performance of the aircraft? Well, range, definitely nobody says no to additional range, but I think that we haven't seen the last from speed. I mean, high supersonic speed and hypersonic speeds are militarily useful. So we haven't seen the last. That's probably a development. Abhijit Sharma, could you please talk about? I'm sorry. I mean, I'm probably butchering the names of people. Apologies. Already, my pronunciation is what it is. Yeah, I hope you will forgive me. Could you please talk about, I would say, Abjet Sharma, could you please talk about S-400 and its capability against stealth jets? Um, that's a good question. Hi Pops made an interesting video of about this subject recently. Go and watch it because that channel is small. They don't publish very often, but they do interesting stuff. They then it's difficult to say. Then it's difficult to say. It's a long story. Probably it's too long for that would require an entire video or an entire live stream. Ishan Serawat, what do you think can rise as a new military power in exports also except China? So if we consider that China and India are already mainstream, I could put my money on Indonesia or Malaysia. Or as a second thought, also Brazil, but not in the very short term. Amjad Khan, I don't understand why people think the JF-17 fighter is better than Sukhoi 30. I mean, there are some performances. I mean, if you look at the performances and you stop your consideration there, then you can get to some results. This is general, it's not just for these two aircraft. If you stop their consideration to the performances, but actually the context where the aircraft are placed is probably even more important than the mere performances of the aircraft. Okay. So I don't really have an answer for this question, and I think is also a question that should be asked in a different way with a different spin. Rhino Potgieter, thank you very much for your video on grip and the design and so on. I am a massive Griffin fan here in South Africa, although they are currently grounded. I know, it's a sad story. You gave me some ammo to defend my favorite jet. Okay. Glad to be useful. Mladen Definis. Greetings and congratulations on a great job. Thank you. Since Croatia bought 12 used Rafales from the French government, I am interested in whether the F-3R is able to carry American weapons along with French ones. As far as I know, no. I don't think they. I think the paveways have been. I think the paveways have been integrated, but I'm not 100% sure. But apart from that, there's nothing else. Having said that, is a Western aircraft, can be integrated, but you need to have the money for doing so. And 12 used aircraft, probably not worth it. Twister is again what Twister is an anti-hypersonic missile program backed by the EU Commission. Really? New to me. Let me never heard of it. I confess. Adrian Tataro. Hi, M8. Nice to see you live. It's actually M7, but thank you for coming, Adrian. JKL998, any ideas on how well the Su-75 will perform? No, it's way too early. As I say, it is an interesting concept. We had some fun a few months ago trying to guess some performances, but that's it. Let's see what happens. Mladen Definis, sorry for repeating the question, but you skipped first. No problem. Gnarly news. According to the book of Deuteronomy 4:29, the real eyes of man are their hearts, not some all-seeing government pyramid spy on all programs. Okay, noted. Don't know how to comment, honestly. Stephen Cara, favorite aircraft design. Wow. Here we come to aesthetics. F-104. No way. Second place, the Deltas. Mirage F-106 and F-106. Rhino Potgieter, with the current new technology in aviation, do you think we'll see another supersonic airliner sometime soon? Yeah, there are some people trying to work on it. It's not impossible. Also considering that there is a class of super rich which may be tempted to buy one, it is possible to have one. Danny Lay, which jets is better for Canada, future jet procurement, Gripen E or F-35? We just discussed before. I think it will be F-35. From an economic point of view, the Gripen makes probably more sense, but I think will be the F-35. Gnarly news illuminates. Okay, and then let's keep please the conspiracy theories outside. Not because I don't want to be dismissive of anyone and anything. And I'm open to everything. YouTube is not. Uncle Heavy. Here is a tricky question. If you had to go into a war zone as a pilot, what would your choice of plane be? I think it depends from the context and the type of missions. In the sense that almost everything that flies today has its own sweet spot. For some aircraft is quite a large sweet spot, for some others is smaller, but almost everything that is flying today excels in something. So probably depends from the context. It depends from the context. Hugo Nordin, since the aircraft market is trending more and more towards import-export, will the US and Russia be the only big players, or will a third exporters like the EU or any other country will emerge? It's not true. Actually, there are more and more national already. We have already 52 minutes into the live stream. Oh, no, 50 minutes into the live stream. Wow. It's really time passes when you're having fun. I'm not joking, I'm really having fun. So I was saying, so no, it's not true that the market is going toward export. In the sense, the F-35 Rafale and Gripen are selling like crazy pretty much in these days, but it's not necessarily like this. In the sense, we are seeing more and more national projects, and those who don't have a national project try doing something. Think of Japan with the FX project. Think of Korea that is going that way. Think that there are not one but two sixth generation aircraft in Europe. Think that Brazil, for example, opted for a customized version of the Gripen built in house to acquire technology. Turkey and Iran are trying to. Turkey and Iran are trying to do something in this area. India is trying to develop an autonomous capability. So no, it's not going. In the next few decades, we are going to see differentiation rather than a uniformation, or better, we are going to see the F-35 block expand probably, but outside that, there will be a lot of different players. Wagdi Kota Baba is actually saying to Mladen, the Finnish, some American bombs are already integrated into Rafale, no air-to-air weapons. It's super expensive. Yeah, as I was saying, I think the paveway is actually integrated. Gnarly news, you didn't have to read it out loud, brother. Okay, sorry. Did you get any Super 75 perfume? No, I didn't, but I've seen the fake. That's quite interesting. That's quite clever marketing trick. Do you think Block 4 is a reality and that it will solve all the F-35 problems? No, it will happen. Problem is when, but it will happen. Uncle Heavy, I'm going to press you to pick one aircraft you have to stick with for the duration of the deployment. Oh God. I'm staying with a jack of all trades and a master of none. Something in the likes the Rafale or an advanced version of the F-16. Randy Havard, will you ever consider doing a video on passenger aircraft? Well, if I actually realize that people is interested, it's much easier than working on military stuff. I'm not entirely sure that the people who are interested in military stuff are also interested in civilian stuff. You may have noticed, though, that I often use civilian aircraft as an example for general concepts because they are basically the same. Danilei, what is the best way to defend against a large swarm of drones attack, a large swarm of drone defense? So it's sort of a joke, but okay. But I think in the long run, probably so you need something cheap, no? So missiles are probably not an option. So probably it would be one of the first applications for direct energy weapons. Also seaweeds, but also depends on the range of the swarm. ATT TF50, Leonardo's or used Gripen? Carlos S. TA50, Leonardo's, you say, I think the Mackie Master, you think, I suppose you're referring to, or use Griff. No, the Gripen. The Gripen above. Those are trainers. They can have their job, but if you can afford a Gripen, even a used one is better, the Gripen, if you need a combat aircraft. Favorite air combat movie, not only Jet Era. I think I will go with the classic Top Gun, because when I started, it came out pretty much in the same year when I was starting university. So yes, sort of. It was one of the first compact discs that I bought, the Top Gun soundtrack. Because you may know I'm really passionate about musical reproduction. I'm very passionate about music in general, and I'm really interested in musical reproduction. I like good music and like reproduce music well. So yeah, one of the first compact discs that I bought was the Top Gun soundtrack. Gnarly news: F-15 or F-35? Again, depends on the context and the mission. If I have to go air superiority, F-15. Modernized version, not the F-15A or not even the F-15C, F-15E or the new EX. But if I have to go air superiority, F-15. Again, if I need to be jack of all trade, master of none, the F-35. Oh God, what happened to the chat? Oh God, help! I don't find. No, this is too old. Okay, probably skipping something. Uncle Heavy, I was thinking Rafale 2. It is an outstanding aircraft. Yes, yeah. I mean, it is one of the Gripen and Rafale are both in two sweet spots in terms of performance that are very, very adaptable for a number of missions and for a number of air forces. Any thoughts on the choices that countries have done lately on buying fighters? Recently, seems like that there are three choices: F-35, Rafale, and Gripen. That's exactly what I was saying. There is the F-35 that definitely has something new if compared with the others, and it also comes with a lot of political pressure from the United States. And today, in the Western world, the two sweet spots are the Gripen and Rafale. Fortunately, Eurofighter had possibilities, but didn't live up to the expectations. Adrian Tataro, I just think the Block 4 is just another US propaganda to cover that money pit of F-35 project. No, there are real improvements in that. So it makes sense from the aircraft point of view. Actually quite interesting, and I'm using it as an excuse to go through some of the technologies of the F-35. We will keep going for 3 or 4 videos probably if I manage to collect all the information that I think I need, and they will come at intervals because they're very complex to do, but that's quite, yeah, there's something interesting there. Milos S 40mm cal or 57mm cal for drones and low flying bombs and cruise missiles. No idea, honestly. No idea. Pete Nash, could you one day make a video explaining how the Russian air defense system is structured, how its elements interact, and how dangerous it might be for a foreign power to penetrate it? It's on the cards. It's going to come. Under with slightly different spin, but yeah. Gnarly news. What was the name of that electric gun that could shoot 1 million rounds a minute that would take out a bunch of drones real quick? No, yes, that was an interesting concept in which the pretty much had no moving parts. The only moving parts was the projectile, and the projectile was basically they had multiple barrels. The projectiles were inside the barrels and were electronically activated with a propeller charge that spit through the propeller out of there. That was an interesting concept. I haven't seen it used so far, but I don't know why, honestly, but something I probably should investigate. Carl Davis, did they show Airwolf in Italy in the 80s? Did you ever see it? No. No, I don't know what you're talking about. Again, if you can leave a comment if you. Gnarly news. They call it the hailstorm or something even used to put out fires and tall buildings with fire retardant in the projectile. Ah, okay. Wagdi Kota Baba, do you think a series-like capability could be implemented with a fighter's cannon? No. At this stage is too complex. The aerodynamics is too complex. If FCAS fails, what can we expect of the French plan B? A French FCAS. An entirely French FCAS. Uncle Heavy, so you're in charge of purchasing military aircraft for Elbonia? But you are a traitor. You must buy the worst possible aircraft, but be able to defend your choices in parliament. Your choice. Oh my God, you are going to put me in trouble. Very old used F-16s, probably, or very old used MiG-29s. Because they look like modern, but they're not. They're not. So, yeah, probably that. Oh God, you're probably going to put me in trouble. During World War II, nuclear bomb was a super weapon US had. Do you think the F-35 will be a super weapon versus China in a future war? Absolutely no, because those capabilities, everybody, as I said this many times, everybody's working really, really hard to counter the capabilities of an aircraft like the F-35, and the kind of advantage that it has is not going to last very long. You will still, I mean, it's always better to have it rather than not having it, but it won't be so decisive, so it won't be as essential to have it. So I don't know if I manage to explain myself. Another one. The gun was called Metal Storm. It acts like a shotgun. Yes, that was the thing. AdFab. Given most warfare is a systems of systems approach, which aircraft appear to be designed to attack a system as the J20 appears to be? I mean, I think that today's aircraft are all multi-role platform. It's more of the single weapons and the single tactics. The J20 is a sort of an outlier from this point of view because it seems designed with a specific mission in mind, but they're building so many that I think that they are not going to use one just for one mission. I think they're probably going to have a few hundreds of J20s. I don't think they're going to use them just to shoot down AWACS or tankers. They must have another mission. But it's a sort of an outlier to being seems such a specialized platform. It's more the weapons and the tactics. Do you think it makes sense for SCAF and Tempest programs to merge? What are the odds the French going solo once again? So, no, it doesn't make sense. For the good of European economy and for the good of European defense, having two high technology projects is definitely the best thing. I know that I'm probably the only one thinking about this because everybody likes thinking about synergies, but I don't think so that this applies to military in this type of military and strategic reasoning. France, if the SCAF should fall, or the CAS, like I like to call it, because it's a funny word in Italian, is going to fail, I am pretty sure that France will go solo. Won't be probably as advanced as it would have been, but they will go solo. Milos S. Structure of the Russian SAM systems are very flexible. There is a real rigid structure. Everything can be combined with everything, depends of function. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think it's fair. But it doesn't work like a shotgun. Yes, it seems like a shotgun, but it's not the same principle of a shotgun. Yeah, no, correct. Cannon Fodder 43. In hindsight, should the Europeans have committed to developing fifth generation fighters instead of the 4.5 generation Eurocanards? No. I think they did the right thing for the decision for the time when the decisions were took. It just took a very long time, and the appreciation of stealth and the other fifth generation technology was not that full. I mean, it's the Americans that gambled in introducing something very, very, very advanced, and yeah, they went this far to having the gamble not paying off, but apparently they is now starting doing. Okay, sorry, the chat jumped everywhere. The final countdown, did you see the dogfights between Zeros and F-14? Yes, that was a great film. Yeah, I liked it. The F-14 flying out of the clouds after the Zero was glorious. Yes, I agree. Hugo Nordin, can you please recommend a good aerospace military book? It depends on what you want to understand. I think if you want military aeronautics 101, I don't think that anything exists. But if you want some technical stuff, it's okay. So, Galactose, will China export the J20? I wouldn't exclude that. Not immediately, but maybe later. Paulie Bassman, hey 7-star, what do you think about the future rough running Typhoon, Gripen, and YF-23? A Brit, that's my wish list. YF-23 will never happen. Gripen, yeah, will never happen. Sorry for crushing your hopes, but will never happen. Those two will never happen. I don't see them happening anytime soon. Danny will blimps play a role in future air defense? No, in air-to-air, I don't think so. Herr Fugbaum, how would you have crossed the Atlantic in the 1930s? Steamship, flying boat, or airship? I would have loved to do an airship. With my notorious luck, I would have been being on the Hindenburg. Uh, Air Shark 95. Is there an air force that is in dire need of upgrading its equipment on that could face great strategic shortcomings due to its current state, and how could they improve their situation? So one country that is definitely in a complex situation is Argentina. After the Falkland Wars, it was all downwards, and there's no sign that they're going out. They're coming out of there. They're trying to find unconventional solutions, but yeah. Gnarly news. Have you seen the laser cannon pods mounted on some US fighters aircraft? There are videos of it on YouTube from a few months ago. Yep. I don't think they're already operational. I think they're interesting. Yeah, they're interesting stuff, but oh, Alexander Vatter, another of the habitués. Hello guys, just want to say thanks for all your work and tutto il meglio per il prossimo anno. Thank you, Alexander, much appreciated. Thank you very much for your support. AdFab, do you think the US approach to building fighters quicker, Digital Century series, will be achievable? It's not impossible. I'm not entirely sure they will do it because of the passion for the United States for the high technology that the Americans have for the high technology solutions. They probably won't like the idea. Baxter Mullins, I have just started to follow your site. As a gray bird from military, civil, and academia for the last 50 years, it is a pleasure to hear your dialogue. Keep up the good work. When I get some appreciation from a professional, it is something which is deeply humbling. So thank you very much. I hope I won't be disappointing at any time. Galactose, is the Su-27 a 4 or 4.5 generation fighter? The Su-27, the original Su-27 is a 4 generation, very performing one, but is a 4 generation. The current versions, the current flankers are much better, much more capable than the original. In 2030, Greece is going to have a F-16, Rafale, F-35. Is it too much for the size of Greece to have so? So, Alex, probably you're asking, is it good for Greece to have a small country have so many aircraft? So many different aircraft and such a large air force? The answer is definitely makes sense from the point of view of Greece because they have this enduring hostility with Turkey, and so they have what a country that has no immediate challenges would consider an oversized air force. And as I always say, variety is resilient, is a marker of resilience. What may work against one aircraft may not work against the other one. If it's just one type and you find a way, and your opponent find a way to making it ineffective, you're screwed. If you have more than one type, you are much more resilient. Amjad Khan, 2 countries are currently reviving the YF-23. If you're talking Japan, if you're saying Japan, no, it's not going to happen. Definitely not. It's not going to be a new reviving of the YF-23. I don't know anything else, but if you know any, if you have anything, any reference, feel free to post in the comments. Carl Davis, what are your thoughts on the formation of the US Space Command? Logical progression or waste of time? No, logical progression. I mean, space is becoming more accessible, it is becoming more important. So, actually, having a specialized force makes sense. And in any case, it's more an administrative move because it's what is. It was they just basically gave extracted from the Air Force something that was already there. So Nali News, how much research have you done on Royale Games? There is a video about Navi Railgun research on YouTube, but it will blow your mind. Leave a reference. Thank you. Leave a reference. For your information, the Croatian Rafale still have a 30 years life expectancy. The Salt went from, yeah, yes, okay, good, yes, definitely. They've been, they've been put to 0 hours probably. No, that's fine. What time is it now? Okay, 1 hour and 15. Okay, just a few questions, then please let me go. Danile, have you written any books on aviation subjects? Thank you for your videos. No, I haven't written anything. I've been recently contacted for a collaboration. We'll see how it goes, but it's really, really early days to say really anything. No, I haven't written anything. I sort of think that there is a niche that could be filled, but again, I don't want to anticipate anything because it's still just an idea. There's nothing real around that. So, is there a cancelled fighter bomber program that in hindsight should have continued, something like the F-20, YF-23, TSR-2, Avro Arrow, or something else? Any thought? So I know that I would earn 1,000 points with the Canadians saying the Avro Arrow. And now I'm earning them. Yes, the Avro Arrow would have been a great idea for Canada to maintain its autonomy in aerospace construction. Then there's another one that is particularly close to my heart, which is the TSR-2, because I think would have made a lot of sense for Great Britain. Great Britain is also a great place where extremely good ideas get to the point of being applied and then they get scrapped for no logical reason. Milos asks, when Otis will answer our questions? Oh, Otis doesn't like the live streams, I'm afraid. So it's very difficult for him to interact in this way. Just before you go, I wanted Shrushni, just before you go, I wanted to say that your channel is the best channel on aviation, period. Honestly, I love all of your videos. Thank you very much. Again, this is humbling, and when you say things so kind, guys, you really make me become emotional. But this gives me the opportunity to tell you something. If you like my channel and you want to help yourself, then I don't want to get into any details. I will publish a video about the video about the end of the year and how the channel was, and there I will say anything. But if you want to do something to help me, yes, you know how to support the channel financially, but fine, this is not for everything, and these are tough times. So if you can, I'm the happiest person in the world. If you can't, it's okay anyway. But one thing that is free and helps the channel immensely is promoting the channel on social media. Promote it on your social media. This is something which is very important for the YouTube algorithm. Seeing traffic coming from the external, from the social media, from people who are actually interested. So I have very limited time to care about social media. So if you could do that, that would really help immensely. That So thank you very much. Amjad, can I have an official video of YF-23 design used by the PAF, I suppose Pakistan Air Force, but that it is in their native language? That doesn't matter. Just drop the link. Thank you. Thank you. Last question, Alberto Tarantino, one of my compatriots. Hi there, do you have any kind of information regarding what kind of cryptography is used in the military for radio communications? It's a very complicated thing, and it's not just one cryptography. There are several types of cryptography algorithms. It's something that I would like to cover at some point. So stay tuned, but it's a good subject. It's a good question. Okay, guys. So thank you very, very much for being part of the stream. It's it's for me. This is a great thing. I always say it's incredible. There are so many like-minded people in the world. It's incredible that 70 people spend 1 hour, more than 1 hour, chatting about aircraft with a 53 years old guy. Is something that baffles me. It humbles me. Anyway, thank you very, 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 very much for everything. This is probably the last live stream of the year. Have a wonderful, beautiful Christmas if you celebrate it. Or if you are just having any holidays, have wonderful holidays. All the best for 2022. And yeah, basically all the best that I can tell you. Just make it is as if I told you. So thank you very much. Good night.